This is a biblical story of soaring and falling, of excellence and failing, of humanity at its best and at times at its worst. This is breathtaking in its depths and its heights. Joining us from Atlanta, Diamond Dallas Page, and the man that he was reaching out to last time that he was on the show, Scott Hall. Scott, a pleasure to meet you, first of all.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Diamond, pick this up. You were trying to convince him to come and work with you. That was a struggle because I know you tried a lot of times. Pick up the story there.
Well, not really. I just tried to get a hold of Scotty for years, and he never picked up the phone whenever I ever called him, like ever. That one day, he picked up the phone, and mainly the reason I did call him with Jake that day was because Sean Waltman had reached out to us and said, "Help our buddy out, man. He hit a dark spot, so real dark." So we just tried to talk him in, and we talked over a couple of days, and then we lost touch with him for a while, and then we got back in touch.
Scott, at that time in your life, how low were you? I mean, I think if you're going to talk about the success of where you are today, people got to understand how close to death were you at that point?
Well, I've been having heart episodes since 2010 at that time, and I was on a slew of meds and also living a really unhealthy lifestyle. I was pounding a lot of booze, mixing, pills in whenever I had them. And when I was admitted to the hospital with a heart episode, I was not looking too good. And miraculously, 7 days later, I was cleared and turned loose, detoxed off the booze, luckily, and also my heart, given a green light to gently start to rehabilitate it. And that's when I took Dally up on his offer. We've been friends for a long time and always been successful, really, in anything we ever did together. And I just feel really blessed that, my buddy here, you got to remember, he's a busy dude. He's plugging DDP yoga worldwide, and he takes time out of his schedule to bring one of his old wrestling buddies into his house, feed me, take care of me. He's a real friend, and I appreciate that.
Dallas, when he walked into your house the first time, what did you see when he walked in the house the first time?
I saw a buddy of mine that was beat up. Our whole profession, we beat the hell out of our bodies, and then we got to deal with that later. From all the wrestlers out there to all the extreme athletes to the football players, basketball players, you're so beat up by the time you get to the end of it. And, you had, the trying to mask that pain with the booze and the pills, and you get about 10 years into that, and then you're really hurting, and that's where he was coming out. But there was something in his eye that, he said, "I don't know what it is, but it's different." And it was all his work that he put into it, that made him want to make that change. And, you can look at him now. He's back to being the bad guy.
Scott, what was the difference this time? Don't stop posing on my account, by the way. What was the difference this time, though? How did Dallas get through to you in a way that nobody else could?
Well, I've had the luxury of knowing Dally for a long time, and we've always communicated really effectively and really efficiently. We don't mince words. We don't worry about all the niceties and stuff. We just say it, and so we don't. We try to get right to the root of whatever we think the issue is and deal with it however we can. I mean, we did that as a wrestling combination years ago, and anytime we cross paths and other things, I've really value our friendship because there's not a lot of other people that I interact with. I have to feel the need to say nice things before I really get to the point. And I can fast forward to the issue with Dallas, and I think that's prompted me to have a speedy recovery because, the doctors and stuff, or everybody's, tooting my horn that I'm doing so well. And I just feel blessed.
Scott, your son Cody, I know that you've been helping him. He's now in the wrestling world. A lot of people would think, wow, why would you want your son, who clearly has the tools physically to do it, to go into a world that has destroyed so many people, including yourself for a time?
His mother is not pleased about his decision. I think college ain't for everybody. My daughter, his sister Cassidy, is in college in Central Florida. He didn't choose that route. So I want to support both my children in any decisions they make. and I do know a bit about pro wrestling, so I feel like it's great. It's allowing Cody and I to get real close together, and I can only tell him, you know, about what's out there, but I try not to lie to him. I mean, I'm not going to tell him booze and drugs don't work. They do work. You know, it's when you want to quit and you can't that they start to really suck. So I'm just telling him, you know, I enjoy my relationship with Cody because we talk to each other honestly. I never really talked to my old man, so I didn't have that advantage. So I'm trying to, you know, tell him what I can, but I think at the end of the day, you know, when you close your eyes at night, we ultimately all make our own decisions. So all I can really do is pray for him and guide him the best I can. But,
okay, before we,
you know, there's a real upside to pro wrestling too. There's a lot of focus on all the deaths, but I think maybe if you look at a guy like Brett, you mentioned earlier, and guys like Hogan and Roddy Piper, there's a lot of guys who've been around a long time and, you know, weathered the storms and have got, you know, been successful and everything. It's not just a bunch of dudes partying themselves to death.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I'd love for you, Scott, to talk to people who maybe are where you were a few years ago, and your words, I think, will help them realize that things can change. Let me hear.
Here's the soundbite for you, bro. I tried to quit looking in the rearview mirror so much, because the rearview mirror is small compared to like the windshield, and you know, I made some mistakes when I look back, but I can't do anything about it. Although I've tried and punished myself for years over it, now I'm just looking forward. And in the windshield, I see Cody and I see my daughter Cassidy, and I see a big, bright future, and I'm just focusing on that. You know, I don't know if that's going to help anybody, but that's really all I got.
It's an amazing story. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us. Really great to see you doing what you're doing. I mean, as you referred to, I think during commercial, there's millions of fans that want to know how you're doing, and the answer is really well. Dallas, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it's been your pleasure, Mike.